You're mute.
You know what that means, Shannon. I do it every time, man. I'm filling in on another show getting fine.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh Steelers fans, thanks for tapping into a Monday night episode of the Hangover podcast. You probably always used to seeing the Triple OG Shannon White in the building on this show every week as he's been here for years. But tonight, I'm here, your boy Tate, filling in for Daniel with Shannon this evening. Some stuff was going on. Shannon last minute doing his backstage producing, getting fill-ins. I'm like a news anchor that's filling in for the main guy, So here I am, fresh off Super Bowl Eve yesterday. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about some lessons the Steelers could have learned, some ideas they could steal as they look to go into, bad word to Art Rooney, go into their rebuilding phase, at least let's call it restructuring. A restructuring phase.
Rebuild.
But they're not going to do that, Shannon, especially if they bring Aaron Rodgers back.
I don't care what they call it. They're rebuilding.
Okay, yeah. I'm just trying to be cool with Dan Rooney, man. Anyway, here we are on the Hangover podcast. Shannon, what's up with you, man? How you doing today?
I'm doing good, and I just want to thank you again for filling in. Well, it was kind of I found out this morning, and that I was going to need some help, and like I said, I try to always give as much forewarning as I can. So, and I definitely appreciate it, and Daniel knew everything was going to be in good hands with you. So.
Yeah, man, I was never a Marine, but I live by the motto in the creed, leave no man behind. So here I am.
That's right.
But yeah, man. So it's just Monday. How was your weekend? Not about the game. How was your Super Bowl Sunday? Forget about the game right now. We're gonna get into that. How was Super Bowl Sunday for you?
It was. Well, we had my wife made some homemade pepperoni rolls. We are from West Virginia. And we had homemade pepperoni rolls and some wings and stuff. So we ate good. My Mountaineers basketball team got beat Sunday afternoon at home there in Morgantown. So that was disappointing. And I was like, well, we'll watch some Super Bowl and enjoy the game. But the game was a dud.
Did you did you have a party or anything? Or was it at home?
No, it was just us, me and my wife and my son and daughter-in-law. That was it.
Okay, no, it sounds a lot like me. I don't have a son and daughter-in-law. I got two dogs. It was me, the wife. I've been eating a lot better since. Not that I ate really bad, but I cut out a lot of stuff when the New Year started, and I hadn't had pizza since the New Year started, and I was all set to get a pizza tomorrow for the Super Bowl. Anyway, the day got away from me, got a little later. I had a podcast. We did our KnoItAllz podcast yesterday at 2:00 instead of 6:00. We didn't want to compete with the Super Bowl, obviously. So I never made out to get the pizza, and me and the wife just cooked. I baked some baked wings.
Yeah.
I did make a taco salad out of some ground chicken and some some light Tostito chips, and had a taco salad and pasta salad. We just sat home and watched the game together. I mean, literally, I started cooking about 3:00 up into the Super Bowl, and we sat and we back and forth to the kitchen, just all eating, just the two of us. And the dogs got a special treat yesterday. She had for Super Bowl. She put their Steelers jerseys on them.
Yeah.
Did that? Yeah, like we're not in the Super Bowl. She's like, they just want to feel part of the day.
Exactly. I always have two dogs. I usually have a big dog and a little dog. And I got my golden retriever, and I had a little rat terrier, and she passed away last summer. And that was, that's family, and that hurts. And but we have my wife works at a veterinarian clinic. And they had a cat that come in like 4 years ago that had been run over. Its back legs were crushed, and they didn't know if they was just going to put it down or what. But the owner of the clinic where my wife works, he amputated her back legs, and she's got little nubs in the back legs. But she walks around on her front legs. She keeps her the end off the ground and she walks around. She's strong as them, and they can do that.
They don't, but I've seen that before where they put like a skateboard on where the back legs would be.
It don't work with the cat as much.
Okay.
It will a dog.
A dog, okay.
But she can fly around. It don't even slow her down. And if she can get her claws in it, she can climb anything. You know how that is. But her and my wife come very close because it was the clinic cat,
Right.
It was the mascot kind of for the clinic. And I always told my wife, I said, if they ever want to get rid of it, send it to a rescue or something, don't let it go. Because I know that my wife loved that cat. Right. And I said, and I'm not a cat person.
I'm not a cat person, but
so I'm like, and our dogs would, now my golden retriever loves everything, so he wouldn't hurt it none. But my little rat terrier would have attacked it. So, because she thought she was big and bad, how it is. And didn't want two girls in the house. We always have a boy and a girl because, they could conflict. But anyway, so after my little dog, Emma, passed, I told my wife, I said, we'll try the cat. And they named the cat Glacier. Now, I don't know why Glacier. I don't know why they named it that.
Not a white cat.
No, but they named it Glacier. But something strange has happened. I've had 3 cats in my whole life. And I was really close with 2 of them because they acted kind of more like a dog. They were real affectionate. You know what I mean? They wasn't offish or, leave me alone. I don't want to be, some cats are like it. Well, anyway, now me and this cat, I think that God knew I needed it. I was missing Emma so bad and missing that. And now me and the cat are tight. So, but so that we also had them there at the Super Bowl thing yesterday too. You're muted again.
And that's how I am, Shannon.
Yeah.
I mean, I had actually got a memory, on my Facebook timeline yesterday. It was 8 years ago yesterday that one of my dogs had to be put down, right? Last Super Bowl we spent together was when the Eagles Nick Foles game beat the Patriots.
Yes.
And a couple of days after that, he got real sick after that day. Like that whole rest of that, from that Super Bowl Sunday, that Thursday, he wasn't eating. I could see his ribs and took him to the vet, and they was like, not nothing we can do. He's, has had something, so we had to put him down. And that was February 8th, 2018, so 8 years ago yesterday. But yeah, I felt the same way about my dogs I have now. I got them, when I was going through the whole kidney transplant journey and stuff. Man, we put our last of 3 dogs we had, put him down at the time. And 2 days later, my wife wanted new dogs. We went and got a French bulldog, and they're way more expensive than what I wanted to spend for a dog.
Yeah, they're expensive.
Then 6 months later, we got another one. But now these guys been around for about over 4 years now. I love these guys. They go my dogs right there. That's Harlem and Bronx. Them my guys, man. So I get what you're saying. You do become attached to animals and stuff like that. They're like part of your family. So we know how that goes, man. But yeah, so no, we shared some kind of a similar Super Bowl. The game wasn't great. I didn't think the commercials were great. I didn't know much about Bad Bunny. The show was okay. I was a fan of him standing up for his social justice cause, whatever that may be. But the game was okay. Seattle was just a far superior team, I think.
Yeah.
It played out that way. I think Vrabel did a good job getting a good team to the Super Bowl. But we know, as you look back on the Patriots had a weaker last place schedule from the year before.
Yeah.
They played the Jets 2 times, the Patriots 2 times. I mean, the Patriots twice, but split with them, and the Dolphins twice. So they were really set up to have a good season, but they won those playoff games. So shout out to the Patriots. But let's talk about the game. So as far as the game goes, Shannon, how'd you see that play out as we just talk about these two teams right now, the Seahawks versus the Patriots. How'd you see that playing out?
Well, we talked about it on the Pump Your Brakes Wednesday, and we made our predictions. And I made predictions on here last week on Monday, me and Daniel, and I picked the Patriots. I picked the Seahawks because they had balance. And I said on Pump Your Brakes, the Patriots, the teams they beat, they played in a really weak division. They played in the weaker conference. And they lost to, when they lost to the Steelers, they turned it over 5 or 6 times. And they had an easier path, especially playing Denver without their starting quarterback in a blizzard to get to that game. I mean, they just wasn't challenged the same way that Seattle, playing in the best division in football, in the tougher conference, and they had all them tough games with the 49ers and the Rams. And so they were at Green Bay, and they were prepared for that Super Bowl, and it was obvious. Sam Darnold, see, that just goes to show you had a rookie quarterback who in May, who would have been the youngest quarterback to ever win, breaking Ben's record had he won.
Mm-hmm.
It shows you how hard it is to get there with a guy that young, much less win it. Dan Marino was younger than both of them. And Dan Marino got blew out by the 49ers and never got back. You don't have to have a top 1 or 2 quarterback to win a Super Bowl. Now, New England did with Brady, and the Chiefs did with Mahomes. But look at all the other quarterbacks that have won who are top 5, even maybe top 7 or 8. If you have balance on both sides of the ball. So when the game went, it kind of like we kind of thought, I thought that Seattle their defense would be able to hold up. I thought New England's defense would hold up better than it did. And, a lot of people give New England the edge because the May had mobility, whereas Darnold doesn't have as much mobility. But that just goes to show you what I always say. You don't have to have great mobility. You have to be able to manipulate the pocket to extend the play a little bit. Then you got to be accurate and you got to avoid the big mistakes. May could not do that. Now, to me, the biggest surprise in the game was New England's line was atrocious. I mean, Seattle run over and through the line instantly. That number 1 draft tackle, I think Anderson, for the Patriots.
On the Patriots left side?
Yeah, he got the first play of the game, he got run over, and nothing changed all night long. I mean, they just got pushed around and bullied. And therefore, the secondary could just sit back there in that man zone and just take away each individual option. And when May did get something going down the field, he was kind of forcing it. I think they kind of blew that one coverage on the touchdown. But other than that, he was throwing into the one time he threw deep, it was almost intercepted. There was 5 Seahawks around the receiver, and he threw right into it. I mean, so he got frustrated. You have to have this great patience to try to compete against that kind of defense. And he was losing patience, and they were getting behind worse. And even though it was all field goals, but to me, that is the type of balance that Philly had the year before. Philly took like one of the top quarterbacks in Mahomes and one of the offensive geniuses in Reed, and they had a solid defense. But Philly just was the better team, the more balanced team, and they showed it last year. And we've seen the same thing this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd agree with everything you said. I just go back and say, just to remind people that even when Ben won his first Super Bowl, he was kind of carried by a defensive team.
Yeah.
When Brady's first 3 Super Bowls, Adam Vinatieri and that defense really won those Super Bowls, if you remember.
So he become
then the second part of the dynasty, Tom Brady's the GOAT by then.
Well, same thing with Terry Bradshaw.
Yeah.
The first two Yeah, they got there because of the defense. But then the defense, when it kind of come back to earth, still great, but not, By then, Bradshaw and Swan, Stallworth, Rako, they were, great. So
Right.
you got to have the balance, and then you got to grow together. And the teams that have any longevity, that's what they do.
Right. And that's even tougher nowadays with free agency.
Yeah.
I think what we saw in Drake May is obviously he had a great season. I think he's going to be a great quarterback. I think he's still young. I think you said, he lost patience, but in that statement, I'd say it's the opposite of patience. He lost his belief in the pocket. So what was he lost patience in being able to wait for somebody to come open because he was rushed.
Oh yeah, I'm not blaming May in any way.
Right.
I'm saying that to beat that kind of defense, you got to take what's there and slowly, methodically work your way down. You can't have penalties, which they had a few, but it were hardly any penalties in the first half. But they just could not protect him. It was an epic failure of the offensive line that put him in that situation.
Agree. But that was, I mean, before the couple scores in that fourth quarter, that was an all-time Super Bowl defensive performance that Seattle had going on. Yeah. I wasn't impressed by either quarterback. I mean, old-fashioned football wins the game. Darnold didn't have a great game. I mean,
that was the two lowest QBRs by the two starting quarterbacks ever in the Super Bowl.
Oh, see, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, I think Arnold was 55. Darnold was 55, and as we know, May was worse than that, so it was really bad.
Right.
Hey, I got to do something real quick. This is for Michael. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Michael. Happy birthday to you. And go Steelers. Okay.
Who's Michael?
It's his. I got to find his name again. He's a regular. Michael. I'll butcher his last name. Hirak. He probably don't want me to say it. I'll say it wrong, but
it's in the comments.
Yeah. Everybody's wishing him happy birthday.
Oh, okay. I'm looking. I don't. Must have been. There's Mean Green wishing him happy birthday.
Yep.
So happy birthday, Mike. Thanks for tapping in. Thanks for joining us. Certainly appreciate it.
Yep.
Okay, there's Mike. You welcome, man. Well, Shannon's saying his rendition. Let me give you my rendition. Today is your birthday, that's what I've been told. What a wonderful birthday, you're 1 more year old. On the cake there'll be candles all lighted for you. And the whole world is singing happy birthday to Mike.
I had a lighter here somewhere. I was going to light it, but I can't find it.
But yeah, man. So the quarterback play was bad, but one thing always wins in football. I don't care what era, what time it is defense and the running game. Defense and the running game. I don't care if you're playing out in the elements. I don't care if you're playing in the dome. I don't care where you're going to fight. That style can always keep you in and win a fight. And I think that's what both teams tried to do yesterday. I think they're both built like that. Defensive coaches. I was at my barbershop a couple of weeks ago. They're talking about the Steelers. To me, like, you guys got to build on offense. That old school style, I'm telling you, that old school style will always work. And I say my barbers are younger. They always just have some ridiculous sports take, man. But these guys like 35 years old, mid-30s to late 30s. You know, a good 15 years younger than me, 10, 15 years younger than me. They always say what I say is ridiculous. I call them LKs, which is legend killers. they had the nerve one day we talking about basketball, talk about Magic Johnson was trash. I said, oh my God. I'm done with you guys. I'm done. You know, now granted, you know, athletes evolve, training gets better, food gets better. But, you know, we talked about this before with Lawrence Taylor one day. You were saying like all the benefits athletes have now to make them great. But I think we believe if Lawrence Taylor had everything available to him today that these athletes have now, he'd be better than what Myles Garrett is.
Oh, that's the whole thing. they would have done it. They just didn't have it.
Right.
I mean, these guys, the great ones were just great. They'd be great in any era.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking about now. I'll agree with some people. Jim Brown was big as a lot of his offensive linemen, and he had guys tackling him that he was bigger than they were.
Right.
And when you're talking about a freak athlete, he would still be a freak athlete, but he wouldn't have that size advantage. Because back in the day, I remember offensive linemen when I was a kid, they was no 300-pounders.
Yeah, you'd be like,
because they
250, 260.
Yeah, and so nowadays you ain't running over them boys.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But things would have changed because their eating habits would have changed, their training, the way they took care of their bodies, the money they would have made, like they make now, they could stay in shape year round, have personal trainers and chiropractors and physical therapists. And you see what I'm saying? I mean, it's just, it's hard to compare errors, but anybody that ever watched Magic, and I don't want to get off the football discussion, but if you watched any of them guys, he was special and he'd be special in any era.
Right. No, yeah, no, he would, because he was different. He was a 6'9" point guard. But yeah, that's I'm gonna go back to football because I sidetracked us talking about how
I just wanted to mention that though, because that goes in with the training thing. Yeah.
No, I'm not talking about. I took us off track, but I said that only to say, man, defense. I told them at the time, defense and running games will always compete in football.
Yeah.
Because they're like, you guys need to just get a high-powered offense and all this. Like that's not Pittsburgh's identity. Never have. We went those years where we had the killer bees and stuff like that, but I still think we didn't have a really good defense, but we still identify with defense and that type of culture. You know what I mean?
Oh, but again, here's the thing. The two differences now is the rules and free agency. And what I mean is you can't play the defense like the Steelers used to play, because now you'll get penalized and fined and suspended and everything else. So you have to play defense, but your secondary guys have to be incredible athletes, super fast, great in coverage where they can match up on an island. Because you have to, if you can give your pass rush 2.5 seconds to get there, they're going to get pressure. Everything's specialized. And like I said, with the way the rules are, it's a kinder, gentler game. So you have to have balance. That's what we were talking about.
That's the way the rules are in life now, Shannon. I hate to tell you.
Oh, it's true. That's true. But then with free agency, it has to be quick. Everything's micro now. Yeah. It's microwave. You get a draft. If you hit a solid draft, say 4 guys, you got to hit the next one, and then you got to fill in some holes with free agency, and you got to compete for a title. Because if you go 3 or 4 years, and the guy in the first round pick, he's coming up for free agency,
right?
And at least 5 years, and then your first round pick's coming up. You got to make a decision there, like the Steelers have to with Broderick Jones. So, yeah, everything is just being condensed. The game was really, in my opinion, it was not enjoyable. I dislike both franchises immensely. So, I couldn't. There's nobody I really wanted to root for. Now, I know a lot of our audience really wanted to see Seattle win because they didn't want the New England to get up on the Steelers in Super Bowls. And, I mean, maybe that's what the Steelers need to wake her butt up and realize this here mediocrity isn't cutting it. But I will say Darnold went through a lot to finally get his title. He persevered. You got to give him credit for that. I think that Seattle did the right thing moving on from their coach and bringing in the coaching staff they have that helped lead them to this title. Moving on from Geno and bringing in Darnold, going with Walker, even though I know the other running back was hurt, but Walker, he did the same thing to Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. Yeah, the guy is very patient, and he has great short area quickness to go along with his speed. So he can accelerate in an instant. So what the difference in him, they kept comparing him to Le'Veon Bell. Walker has that top end gear Bell never had. So if Walker gets you to hesitate, he could blow by you.
What's another similarity between those guys?
They're both from Michigan State, right?
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah. But really, their running styles are very similar, even though they're totally different builds. I mean, Walker's short and squatty, whereas Bell was tall.
Well, Bell was that when he first came in the league that first year. Then he shredded some weight.
Yeah, but he's also taller though than Walker.
Oh yeah, he's taller,
a few inches. Yeah.
Yeah, he still carried about 20, 25 more pounds in his rookie year. After
Walker he played a great game. I thought the line blocked excellent. And again, it was kind of like, he just waited, let them set their blocks up, and then he'd find the hole and shoot through them. And the Patriots couldn't do nothing with him. Yeah,
no, they couldn't. And that was the key to the game. They got him going. Because, I give Darnold his credit, but I mean, I'm still not a believer in Sam Darnold. He made some bad passes yesterday. He was lucky not to throw a couple picks. Gonzalez could have had a couple. I equated to Brad Johnson and Trent Dilfer. Those guys got Super Bowls too. They played for a team with really good defenses and built around that. I mean, so not knocking Darnold. He led the team, a Super Bowl winning team. He was the starting quarterback. But am I buying Darnold stock? I'm not.
Well, one thing you said there, if you look at like Trent Dilfer, Brad Johnson, these guys, pay attention. When you have a kind of a mediocre Super Bowl, it usually comes on the end of a mediocre season. And what I mean by that is there's been some years that there's not a dominant team, that there's a lot of parity. Like for the longest time, we had the Chiefs there that was dominant. Before that, it was the Patriots. And before, but like the year that the Dilfer won, there was no dominant team that season.
They beat the Raiders, who was like 13-3. Rich Gannon was MVP.
Yeah, but again, that's Rich Gannon. I mean,
that was Brad Johnson. That was Brad Johnson.
Yeah,
but Trent Dilfer beat the Giants.
Yeah, he beat the Giants with Kerry Collins. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, that Super Bowl was another dud because it was just all Baltimore's defense just dominating the whole game. It wasn't like their offense did a whole lot. It was just the defense. But the NFL, I think, to have the best competition, has to have a dominant team for a 2 to 3 year stretch. Because then everybody else is trying to compete with that team. Right now, with the free agency being rampant lately, and guys moving so much, you can't build any kind of super team. Those happen when you get a young quarterback. Like New England had potential with May being so young and on this early rookie contract, and they can, add pieces and put money in and maybe make a super team. Well, then they come out and they lost yesterday. So I don't know who, like next year, I don't know who. I thought Philly had a good chance to repeat. But what happens is, A.J. Brown and Hurt started having some problems, and it's all about chemistry, and it's about I'm not getting my credit, or we can't afford all these linemen. We got to let this one go or this defender go.
Right.
So it's hard to keep them teams together. Like the Bengals, Burrow's like, I want to keep my big three receivers, and keep all this together. Well, they couldn't pay Hendrickson. So so the defense wasn't there. They had the offense, and of course Burrow got hurt. But what I'm saying is, it's so hard, and the Steelers know because they went through it with the Killer Bees. It's almost impossible now to keep the band together.
Yeah, no, I agree. Hey, we're gonna talk about things the Steelers could take away from that game, far as the rebuild, restructure they have going on this offseason. We'll talk about some potential moves they can make, and our way too early needs we think they need to come out this draft with. So if you're watching on YouTube, stay with us. We're not going anywhere. If you're listening on the audio platform, be it Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you listen, we'll be right back after this on a Monday Night Hangover podcast with your Triple OG Shannon and your boy Tate filling in for Daniel, and we'll be right back. Stay with us. And we're back on the Hangover Monday night. I'm your boy Tate filling in for Daniel J. Sitting here with the resident Shannon White in the building. Talked about the Super Bowl. Was it a 29-13 win? Was that the final score? I believe it was.
I actually, with about after the fumble return for the touchdown,
cut it off.
And it was obviously over.
Yeah.
I kind of went elsewhere, so I don't know what the final score was.
I think it was 29-13.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Patriots won, lost by quite a bit. But let's talk about, Shannon, from the perspective of going into this offseason. The Steelers have some potential things they can do. We don't know. We don't need to answer. Quarterback, I think the coaching staff is assembled. I think we was all disappointed. We talked about this before. All disappointed with the Mike McCarthy hire, just because none against Mike McCarthy personally, just because we wanted to see a new direction. That coach in Seattle, Mike McDonald, his second year got a team in the Super Bowl, similar to when Tomlin was a new young gun. His second year, he won the Super Bowl. I mean, so we wanted some young energy, some young blood, some new ideas. We didn't get that. But what I think we got was a competent coach, a quality coach, a coach that knows what he's doing. Now, whether he, pushes all the right buttons this year, we'll see. I think he hired a good staff. But on the field, from both what we saw schematically, what you saw take away from Seattle or New England, you, Shannon, what would be the first move number one after seeing the Super Bowl? What are you looking for from the Steelers?
Well, did you hear that his staff right now is 19 coaches at the moment?
I heard it was like 21.
Well, last I heard was 19. Now, they might have added a couple more. I know they got quality coaches. They got, this is unheard of. It's going to be the biggest staff the Steelers have ever had. And to me, that's encouraging because that is how the modern game is done. And it's everything from analytics to tendencies to all this different stuff. There's data being calculated, mass amounts of data, and you have to have multiple minds and eyes keeping up with this to be adequately prepared.
I agree with you, and I think that's a product of going through the process for the first time in 20 years. You sat down with multiple coaches, and you find out what their plan is, what they would need. You're talking to different guys, right? You talk to McCarthy. You talk to Minnesota, Flores. You talk to the guy that went to the Ravens defensive coordinator from Miami.
Yeah.
You talk to some virtual guys, and I think the Steelers saw now they saw outside of the South Side, right?
Yeah.
And they saw this is what other teams are doing. We've heard it, but now we've had 5 or 6 candidates come in and say this is how it is everywhere now. So I think they got on board with modernization and are hiring more coaches to do the things that they need done. So I'm all on board for that too.
I guess I'm actually giving McCarthy more credit because McCarthy's always had a bigger staff, and Cowher had a slightly bigger staff than Tomlin. But once Tomlin come in, he always had a smaller staff. That's why I never blamed the Rooneys for the size of the staff. It was Tomlin. Tomlin liked, whether it was to pay certain guys what he wanted to pay him, that's just part of it. Working out salaries and who's going to get what and what you're going to get paid and everything else. But you'd see McCarthy, his staff's going to look a lot like it did in Green Bay and in Dallas. So I'm willing to say that's a McCarthy, not a Rooney decision. And I think we're going to see it play out.
I think Rooney has to pay. And I think if it wasn't his complete decision, if Tomlin was being negligent, then Rooney as owner needs to step in and say, this is what we need to do.
Yeah, but you can't say, well, I'm going to hire this guy and this guy to help you and be, because again, it isn't about the staff a lot of times. It's who you can work with, a clear chain of command. Some people like a smaller staff, and I think Tomlin did. I think there's no other way around it because it was smaller when he come in. He, even when he come in as a young coach, there was guys I wish that they would have had to actually help because he was such a young coach, but they just kind of kept the status quo. And then he could have said, "Hey, I need a few coaches here and there," and he never did. I think he was fine with the size of the coaching staff, and so I think that McCarthy is putting together a very thorough staff. Now, whether it's going to be successful, I don't know, but I don't think it's going to be as much of a problem with, like, what was some of the things? Time management, when to throw the challenge flag, just different things. I think there's going to be more set of eyes and more people in the ear sets helping, keep everybody on the same page, which is it's critical because especially with the instant replay and these decisions that just keep coming so quickly, it's hard for one guy to oversee all that.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I mean, they got to the water and they drinking now. Whether you took the horse went on his own.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
did now and they drinking.
Exactly.
So,
but as far as what do I think the Steelers need to take? We've seen Seattle. Now, both teams got their quarterback a different way. The Patriots hit pretty rock bottom after Brady left, and then after Belichick left,
they had two consecutive 4-win seasons before this year.
But during that time, they got Drake May, which could be their franchise guy. Now, it's still not, to me, a franchise guy can win you a title. He was not ready for prime time last night. And part of it was the offensive line obviously wasn't ready either. And they kind of ran into, they were overmatched, let's put it that way. But he has potential to be their franchise guy. And I like the young man. I don't want him to be good when he plays the Steelers, let's put it that way. But the Steelers, you could, to get that top quarterback, you're either going to have to suck. You're going to have to trade up and give up a lot of capital to get up high enough to get a guy. Usually, top 10 is where you got to be, or somewhere in that area. Or you do like Seattle did, and you bring in Darnold. Now, Darnold was coming off a 14-win season with the Vikings. How often do you see that happen? A guy does that, has that kind of success, and then he's available as a free agent. And he wasn't the highest paid free agent either. But Seattle made a good investment. They had the money to do it with, especially after they moved on from Geno and from Carroll and some other things. But I think that Seattle's whole game plan was balanced, as we've talked about. They wanted to run the ball. They already had Frank Walker on roster. And Carbonetti, I think, is maybe it ain't Carbonetti. I can't remember what his last name was. The backup running back all year long.
They had Kenneth Walker and Zach Chardonnay.
Chardonnay, not Carbonetti. Yeah, Chardonnay. And so they picked up Ejigba. They got Cup, who's towards the end, but he was that good help. And then what did they do that really put him over the top was getting Shaheed. Because Shaheed was the explosive element they didn't have. And then on defense, they had the powerful line and the fast, aggressive secondary. That's the key. Nowadays, you got to stop it with your front four and you got to cover it up with the back. And, I think their linebackers are good. I don't think they're great, but they're good. But the Steelers have done it a certain way forever. But they're going to have to strengthen the lines, and they're going to have to get faster in the back end. Because Philly's fast, Seattle's fast. All the best secondaries has got the speed and ability to match up in tight men. Something that the Steelers, they tried it, but Slay was too old. And Ramsey's past his expiration date as far as the top flight corner. I think you can still play him as safety. But the Steelers are going to have to address that.
No, I certainly agree with the points you made. Well, the difference being, and we'll see how it works. Seattle got off Pete Carroll 2 years ago. He was 9-8. The next year, McDonald came in. They went 10-7. Didn't make the playoffs his first year. Then this year they came back and won the NFC West and made it to the Super Bowl. But difference is they went a young direction, young fresh direction, new eyes, new stuff like that. We'll
Look
see.
at what the biggest three things they did. Darnold, they got rid of Geno, bring in Darnold, and they got rid of DK.
Yeah, no, I did that. Well, I think they didn't want to pay DK.
Exactly.
I think they was ready to change up Geno, but I mean, to me, they're the same guy. Sam Darnold had the third most interceptions in the league, the third most. He played with a great running game and a defense that was number one in the league. So I'm gonna pump my brakes. Shout out Wednesday's podcast, Pump Your Brakes. Me and Shannon, check us out on all the Sam Darnold praise. But he did lead the team.
But also he helped Njigba be the offensive player of the year.
He did. He threw
some picks. But again, I'll take 3 touchdowns to 1 interception. I'll take that every game because you'll win most games.
You will, but 23 touchdowns is not 3 touchdowns a game. Aaron Rodgers had more touchdowns and less interceptions than Sam Darnold did.
I don't think you can compare the 2 seasons.
I'm saying from a numbers perspective.
From the aspect of they had a lot more explosive plays. Like I said, Cub didn't have a great season. He did a lot of third down stuff. But, he didn't have Sheed all year either. He got Sheed towards the end, and then they got on a roll, with that explosive element in the returns and in the deep passing game. But, him and Njigba had a special relationship, and Rodgers didn't have that with anybody.
Yeah, no, I agree with that part of it. But, I'm merely talking from a numbers perspective. But,
yeah.
But yeah, so my takeaway from it is like you said. I mean, really, ultimately, and everything you said was inside the first part. You need balance. I mean, you need that defense to be really good and stop people. I mean, you don't have to shut people out, but you got to win. You got to win critical downs and weighty moments and all the cliche stuff we always hear that we don't always do. We don't get off the field in 3rd and long. We play. We would say we're not going to live in our fears, and we play a passive branded defense with off coverage and stuff like that. I mean, to me,
who was the Seattle's best defender? Who's the superstar?
I mean, right now they got so many, but I go with 2 in the secondary. I go with Devin Witherspoon and the rookie in Yori.
I'll say Yori is their best, most talented. But my point is, they don't have a superstar.
Well, no,
they work great as a scheme. They work great as a unit. They all have their specialties, and they execute. They don't have communication issues. You never hardly ever see a blow coverage. What I'm saying is that defense, if you look at the pay on both sides, that defense isn't top heavy like the Steelers defense. We talk about, we got TJ, we got Cam, we got Queen, we got Ramsey. But it's, how many of them guys are still a superstar? None. I mean, you can't have the amount of money invested in that defense unless you got a number 1 defense in the NFL and the Steelers ain't close.
Right. No, I don't disagree with you. I do think they haven't had to pay, but they got Darnold $30 million a season. That's a quarterback discount still.
Yeah.
They get in there. They haven't paid. They have to pay Njigba yet. He's still on a rookie contract.
Yeah, it's only his 2nd year, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's still not paying him.
Yeah.
So all these things. Kenneth Walker, they're not paying him yet. I think he was a 2nd round pick. I don't think he was a 1st round pick. So, I mean, they have players, and on defense they got DeMarcus Lawrence from the Cowboys. You got Devin Witherspoon, who I probably would have took. I believe he counted the same year as Joey Porter Jr., but he went earlier. I liked him a lot coming out of Illinois. And that year, they got 2 first-round picks. They got Witherspoon and Njigba that same year. 2 core pieces that they got in that draft. I mean, so like you said, it's how to build a team. They're not playing the quarterback a lot of money. They made the decision not to pay the receiver, DK. You know what I mean? They saw what they saw in Njigba, and he turned into the offensive player of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, so I think they're built the right way, and like you say, teams need balance where they're built with balance, right? Yeah. Their pay scale is balanced.
But to me, with them, it's more schematic than it is star talent. And that's something the Steelers have been top heavy for so long, because even on offense, it was star talent when they had the killer bees, and then it was star talent on defense because they used to have Fitzpatrick even before they got Ramsey. So, but schematically, they're lacking.
You know, I agree there too, but I'm not going to act like DeMarcus Lawrence is not a great sack guy, or Leonard Williams in the middle, I believe, was the #1 overall pick. I mean, you got Devin Witherspoon's #1 pick. You got players on that defense. They might not have the names. They play way up Great North.
Yeah, but some of them guys did not. They were #1 picks for somebody else, and Seattle got them in there. Seattle was smart. Their GM and their playing, and they got them in there. And then they felt at home playing in a scheme where they wasn't expected to be Superman. Just go do your job. And that's when a lot of guys turn into superstars. That failed where they were originally drafted, is what I'm saying.
Right. No, okay. I can get on board with that. I just think I think the Steelers, we've been both places, right? Nobody liked what we used to do in free agency. Then the past couple of years we started spending some money, and now we don't like the choices and the money they spent in free agency, but they keep changing up what they're doing, and it just hasn't worked yet. And it could be the schematics and stuff, like you said. And we have a different coaching staff and different everything this year as far as those that make the decisions on the field. So we'll see what that looks like. I think the key is the balance, like you said. I think if you can have a top 10 offense and a top 10 defense, I think you're in contention for a lot of stuff then. You know what I mean?
Seattle, on their offensive line, I think his name's Bradford. If I ain't mistaken, he's the right guard. Mm-hmm. I've seen multiple times their own fans saying he was one of the worst football players in the NFL. And they would show clips on X of him looking like Broderick Jones and standing and watching the play going on, and him standing watching because, he blew his assignment. And but in the playoffs, I didn't see none of that. I seen him, in that offense, in that running game being successful. And so you've seen improvement throughout the year from them, especially on that offensive line. By the time the playoffs rolled around, their offensive line was being very effective. So to me, that's something that the Steelers have really got to address left guard, because Seumalo, if he doesn't retire, he's pretty much done as a starter. I don't think we can have Seumalo as a starter. I would rather get a new right guard and try Cook at left tackle, or let him compete with Jones. But I want an upgraded left guard. And then with the new coaches, there's going to be more than one. Tate, there's going to be more than one. An offensive line coach and an assistant offensive line coach. And so I think that they're going to really pay attention and to detail and break down the film and say, okay, you see what you're doing wrong here. I mean, anybody telling them that he's getting over his outside foot, and that's why he can't keep bouncing. It's little things that if somebody's really focusing on it, they can catch it in film, and it helped these guys take that next step, because you have to develop. Thank God that Frazier was pretty much developed when he came in. Now, we've seen McCormick kind of take a step forward this year, I thought. And Fautano, he's pretty developed, and he's very talented. But they still have to focus on that left side.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cook and Jones competes. I wouldn't be mad at another left guard. I mean, I don't know. Those guys are expensive now. Do you pay one, or you just draft another young one and try and fit him in with the timeline of this current line?
If you have a coaching staff that can develop these guys, you could get a lot of times a third round guard, or a second round guard, because the Steelers' first round, that's going to be a tricky one. You know, it's got to go to be like who's there, because you know I don't think they want to trade up too far and give up too much, because they're going to want to try to have some picks for next year if there is a better quarterback class. So they definitely need a wide receiver early. They can definitely use a cornerback early. They could use a safety. I mean, there's a few early round holes there. So it's kind of going to, you know, if they get a shot at a guy, second or third round that they really like, they might take a little bit of that capital and try to get him.
So, okay, because we got about 6 or 7 minutes. Let's, real quick, far as the Steelers going into this season, if you got money to spend on whatever free agent position you want, and what's your first two positions in the draft, what do you do? One free agent, any position you want, 2 draft picks, first or second round, what do you do? And one player on the current roster that you would cut to save money.
Well, you can't cut TJ, but I'd trade him really, really fast. I don't care if it's a third rounder. I don't care if it's a third rounder. I would trade him to get out from under that contract, because it's only going to get worse. I would, as you say, we're talking about money, and if they was able to trade TJ, they could put more money out there. You pretty much as much money as these receivers get nowadays. Even if you're kind of mid-level guy, you're better off to draft. Mm-hmm. And you better be able to develop something that Steelers have failed miserably with Roman Wilson. That's why I would rather not see Aaron Rodgers come back, because Aaron Rodgers likes veteran receivers. They have to give Metcalf help. And what I mean, you got to have a sure-handed route runner who can convert on third down and let Metcalf do what he does best, which is press the ball down the field, you know, use his athleticism and his size, but do not rely on him like to be the hands catcher, to be the guy that converts on third downs regularly, because he drops the ball too much. He's a 10 at everything, but he's got 5 hands. So I'd like to see him, the expensive positions, you kind of got to draft, because you're not going to get a top tackle, offensive tackle, you know, with you
off
don't
the
have
market.
money. Yeah.
Off the market, yeah.
Yeah. So you either draft a tackle, you draft a wide receiver, or if you get an early cornerback. Because you can get a linebacker, you can get a defensive line. You know, there's guys you can get. But those are the big money positions. So free agency, it'd be great to get a left guard to come in kind of like they got Siamalu. I haven't looked at the list of who might be available and who won't yet.
But so you spend money on guard, and you draft a receiver,
cornerback,
receiver and cornerback.
Yeah, and you might can find a really good safety value in free agency. But, you know, again, if you get a top safety option in the draft, you look at him as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, if I'm getting off some money, I don't hate to say it, but I'll probably get off Patrick Queen and draft me a linebacker. That's tough, because you can't spend a high pick on everything.
No.
Right? So you can't, but you can save $13.5 million by cutting Queen, because he's due, I believe, 17 and he's like 13.5 against the cap. I mean, dead money against the cap. You only got to pay 2.5 against the cap or something like that. Low amount of money. But yeah, I'm drafting receiver first. That's been the biggest need for the past 3 years, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Even Deontay Johnson's last year, he was a cancer with Pickens. So you needed another guy in. Then Pickens solo year, he was good, but it wasn't nobody on the other side, which could have been part of the reason his crashing out. And then last year, DK was by himself. So I got to get a receiver by any means necessary. Even I'm willing to trade one of my third round picks if I want to move up and get one of the 3 guys I want, which would be with Tyson, Tate, or Lemon. One of those 3. If they're available and I can trade up to like 13 or 14 or something like that, I do that. I probably would pay. Oh, I might go on board with you, Shannon. I mean, I feel like that potential, the experienced guard that's going for his second contract might be available. Not like one of those already proven guys, but one of those steady guys you see a lot in that could come in, be 26, 27 years old and be a veteran, but be with the same age range as the rest of the line. See, Malu's like 32, I believe. So somebody younger than him that has upside. And then I think my second pick, I'm secondary. I think I'm corner or safety, depending what's the best value when we pick.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just with you have to look at that free agent market and look at the how much they cost, and it just behooves teams to if you see these receivers and you can develop them, you take them because they can have huge rookie years. If you get the right young receiver and put him in there with a competent coordinator and quarterback, they could pay dividends immediately. I mean, it's like the Raiders drafted Gentry, who I think Gentry is a great runner, but he was behind a terrible line with no real quarterback, and it ain't fair to the young man.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when they stuck Harris behind the Steelers line; it was atrocious, and he was getting hit before he got to the line of scrimmage. So that's what happened with Jenny this year. He had nowhere to go.
No, I agree. I mean, but yeah, so those are some of the early things we see after the Super Bowl. Balance, spread the money out, far as how you team building, right?
Yep.
You can't have the number one paid defense and have an offense where you lacking a number 2 or number 3 receiver, really. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Last question, real quick. Do you think Gainwell's back next year?
No, I said for 2 reasons. One, I think this is his first chance to get a real big payday. I'd like to see him get that where he can have more value in a longer term and save that money instead of – because I think you got Warren, who I think was underutilized this year. You want to see what you got, Johnson, and you can always pick you up another running back in the mid to late rounds, to look at Warren wasn't even drafted. So, just you got to find the fit. But you find the right fit, you can find some running game, especially if you upgrade left guard.
Right. Okay. I'm kind of some talk about McCarthy bringing one of his guys, Dowdell, back into Pittsburgh. That would lead to.
I heard that. Yeah.
To Gainwell not coming back, but I'm kind of have excitement about seeing Caleb Johnson too. I mean, like we got young players that we don't know what they can do. I mean, I think we need to see Caleb Johnson. You said I wouldn't mind seeing Will Howard. I wouldn't mind seeing what Roman Wilson really looks like, where he's being used. I mean, we have some guys that are potentially untapped. We don't know nothing about. So, but this is just the beginning of the all season, the first show, Hangover after the Super Bowl. Plenty of shows to come between now and Super Bowl 61. The draft is in Pittsburgh in April. We'll be doing a lot of talk about the draft across all different shows and on Steel Curtain Network, Fans First Sports Network, the KnoItAllz. So be sure to tap in all them places and stuff.
Combine's about 10 days?
Say it again, I'm sorry.
Is the combine like about 10 days or 2 weeks?
It could be coming up. Let me check real quick.
I can't remember right when it is. You're muted.
Yeah, I'm talking to my phone.
Oh, okay.
February 23rd to March the 2nd. So today is the ninth. 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah, I thought it was about 2 weeks. Yeah.
2 weeks from today.
I'm looking forward to it. I always look forward to it.
Me too. Yeah. I mean, this football never sleeps.
Like Emmanuel, nobody had heard of Emmanuel until the combine, and then he goes in there.
I think he really stood out the combine. Yeah, he stood out. But I knew who the 6'3" safety was in South Carolina. Now, did he play his way all the way up where the Steelers couldn't pick him? That always happens too. Yeah. If you know college football, guys, you have your eyes on early. Typically, they gonna play their way up. That kid that keep in mock drafts. Yeah, Rager, I believe, the edge out of Wisconsin. If you do mock drafts, you get him in the 6th and 7th round. By the time you go to the combine and do the circuit and stuff, you're not gonna get him in the 6th and 7th round. He's gonna be a 4th or 5th round pick easy.
If you're a guy who's on the radar already, as a mid round, if you could have a big combine, test, you're going to jump up by at least a couple rounds. Yeah, right. Yeah, and if you're a quarterback, you're gonna jump up more than that. More than that, exactly. And it looks like Jamblin is not going to get to go back to college, so he might be in the draft. And I'm afraid somebody overdraft him like in the 2nd round. But I'd love to have him in the 3rd round, but we'll see what happens. One of those 3rd-round picks. Yeah, no, he did. The NCAA denied his thing. Big G had a podcast on KnoItAllz channel, the Level Up College Football podcast, where he talked about that. So if you want to hear more about that, go back and check it out. He just did that between 6 and 7. It was a live show, but it's available on YouTube. Hear about Trinidad Chambliss. I like him too. I don't too small to like him in the 1st or 2nd round, but you got 3 3rd-round picks. If you get him with one of them, I'll be okay with it. Yeah. But with that being said, I mean, Shannon, thanks for having me again. Thanks for thinking of me to fill in for Daniel. Daniel, hopefully we see you back here next week. Not because I wouldn't want to sit in your chair again and fill in with Shannon for you, just because hope you're able to come back next week, bro. Exactly. Yeah, with that being said, Shannon, man, go ahead, man, and take us home. How you doing any other show we on together, man? Woo! Peace for the hangover.
Mamba out.
Y'all come back now. Here.